Winning Blueprint presents
in the lab room.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. It's been a hectic week. Have been off kilter, have a lot of things going on. But as I've learned over the last few years, this train called life stops for no one, slows down for no man. So I'm not going to complain to you. Everyone has things going on in their life, hardships and what may have you. It's the holiday season. There's a lot of things that are going on in everyone's life, not just mine. And so I'm not going to sit here and ask you to throw a pity party for me. I'm just going to give you my picks quickly on this Friday edition of In the Lab Room. Get to the Pick'em Weekly and just move on. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to give it to you as fast as I can. It's going to be quick. It's going to be like a hurricane swirling through. Let's get to it really quick. The Saturday night game, we got a Saturday game, no Thursday, no Monday night matchup. We just have a Saturday game and a Sunday night football game. The Saturday game features the Atlanta Falcons against the Detroit Lions. I don't see the Falcons losing to a bad football team like the Detroit Lions on the road. The Falcons have home field advantage at stake. I see them taking care of business in this game. Calvin Johnson will break this record, though, in this football game. That being Jared Rice's single-season receiving yards record. That's going to be smashed. I'm looking forward to him getting 2,000 yards in this season. He'll need a big game in this Saturday night matchup to set up and set the stage for him getting 2,000 yards in the following week. But I expect him to break that record against this Atlanta Falcons defense. They're not all that good, but they'll do enough in this game to win. Falcons will win this football game going away. Again, it's going to be quick. I'm not giving out any scores. I'm just giving you winners, and I'm moving on. Falcons are going to get the win. They're going to move to 13-2 on the season, get home field advantage throughout in the NFC playoffs, and seal up anything that is worth having in the NFC. They'll seal it up with this victory. Detroit will go to 4-11 on the season. We go to the Sunday slate of games. First up on the docket, the Giants travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Two teams who are struggling, who really need this game in the worst way. Think Baltimore is at home. They'll find a way to rectify all of their problems against the Giants team that's really struggling. The Giants don't have an identity on defense no more. They're not getting pressure on the opposing QBs like they normally do. They're not getting pressure. They're not forcing the turnovers. And look, Stevie Brown has been a menace back there in that secondary. He's been probably one of their best players on the defensive side of football. But they're not forcing a lot of turnovers. If you can score on this Giants defense, you'll win the game. And I think Baltimore will find a way to cure all their ills in this game, win this football game. And I don't even know if it'll be that close because I think the Giants are really struggling. And I looked like a fool early on in the season when I said, before the season even started, when I did the lab reports. You don't believe me? Take a look at my lab reports before the season started, and you'll see that I said the Giants weren't going to make the postseason. I just thought their schedule was too hard. And you see down the stretch, this hard, tough schedule caught up with the Giants in the end. I mean, you can't play the type of schedule that the Giants played this season and expect them to go back to the playoffs. I just didn't see it happening. I didn't think this Giants team was that good, and I knew it was going to catch up with them. And voila, I looked like Nostradamus because I predicted the Giants would not go to the postseason, and I don't think they're going to go. They're going to lose this game to the Ravens. Ravens are going to get back on track, win a division by winning this football game against the Giants, get to 10-5 on the season. Meanwhile, the Giants will be 8-7 and basically will have ended any hopes of making the postseason. They'll probably have a shot to make the postseason, some outside shot where they'll need this team and that team to lose. But they've basically sealed their fate because they still had a chance. All they had to do was win out. But they're going to lose this game and they're not going to make the postseason, just as I broadcast before the season started. Now, moving on to the next matchup, the St. Louis Rams are traveling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think that Tampa Bay is at home. I won't say they're the better team. I thought they were the better team maybe 2-3 weeks ago. They've fallen flat on their face, have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've regressed in my eyes, and I thought they were building something out there, but I'm not sure about this team anymore. I'm just not sure about Tampa Bay and the direction that they're going in. But The Rams are another enigma. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are an enigma, so are the St. Louis Rams. You know what you're getting out of their head coach, Jeff Fisher, but what are you getting out of this Rams football team from week to week? You just don't know. And I don't trust them to go on the road and get a win against Tampa Bay. I got Tampa Bay finding a way to win this game, get their 7th win of the season, get to 7-8. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Rams will drop 6-8-1 on the season. And neither one of these teams will go to the postseason. But again, you want to finish up the season strong because both of these teams, I thought, have overachieved in this season and have bright hopes for the future, but they need to finish this season off strong. And I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will right their ship in this football game, get back to their winning ways, and beat this St. Louis Rams team at home. You look at the next matchup, the Cincinnati Bengals travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. This is going to be one of the most fascinating games in Week 16 because, honestly, I think that the Steelers are going to win this game. I really think the Steelers are going to win because the Bengals have a tough time beating the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. They just do. They haven't been able to do that. Andy Dalton hasn't beaten any one of these teams since he's entered the league. I just can't see them going into Pittsburgh, a game that the Steelers desperately need to keep any hopes of making the postseason alive and coming out with a win. The Bengals win this game, they win that last and final spot in the AFC playoffs. They can do it. They're a good enough team, especially defensively. They're good enough to win this game. But I just don't see it. I tell you what, though, the Steelers don't need to go anywhere. I really would like to see them lose this game because they're not the same Steelers team that we've come to know and love. They don't need to go anywhere. Ben Roethlisberger isn't playing that well. This defense is pretty good. But they're not forcing any turnovers. There are no impact plays being made by this defense anymore. This defense, this team, the Steelers don't need to go anywhere. They had a shot last week. They blew it against the Cowboys. And I think they'll win this week, but they don't need to go to the postseason. I'd love to see them lose this game, but I don't think they will. They'll get the victory. They'll get to 8-7 on the season with a chance to get to 9-7 next week and get into the postseason. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Bengals will drop to 8-7, and now they're fighting for their postseason lives as well, as they will have to go at home next week and beat the Ravens and give themselves a shot and have the Steelers lose against the Browns in the final week of the season to get into the postseason. For one of the few times this season, I probably won't be able to do a Redskins preview show for the upcoming game, so this is not something that I normally do, but I'm going to tell you who's going to win the Redskins game right here on In the Lab Room on this Friday edition because I just don't think I'll have that much time to do a preview show for the Redskins game coming up against the Eagles. Washington is traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles and what will probably be Andy Reid's final home game of his illustrious Philadelphia Eagles head coaching career. And he's going to go out with a huge bang. Not the good kind, a loud, resounding thud of a bang, as this Eagles team is going to lose again this season. And it might not be a blowout because this is family business. And when you're handling family business, especially of the NFC East variety, it's usually not a blowout. There's not many times two of these teams in this division, no matter who's bad and who's good, it usually doesn't result in a blowout. We saw this Eagles team go to Dallas just a few weeks ago and almost steal one from the Cowboys. There's no laying down in this division. So I expect the Eagles to give the Redskins everything they got. The fact that Shady McCoy is playing in this game scares the living daylights out of me. I do not like playing against Shady McCoy. As I've already said many times, he reminds me of Barry Sanders. I don't like making comparisons like that because Barry Sanders is someone that I hold near and dear to my heart. But if there's any running back in the league that reminds me of Barry Sanders, and I hate to say that anyone reminds me of Barry Sanders because, again, Barry Sanders was a one-of-a-kind running back. There'll never be another one like him. There wasn't one before him. There won't be another one like him. Shady McCoy is the closest thing you'll get to it. I mean, his stopping, his going, his shiftiness, his ability to cut on a dime, second to none in this league. I don't like playing against him. He causes problems. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can run the football. I said all that to say this. The Eagles aren't a good enough team to beat the Redskins. And the Redskins are playing such good football right now that they have a goal in front of them, and the Eagles aren't a good enough team to stop them from reaching that goal. Ultimately, it'll come down to next week against the Dallas Cowboys for this division, but their trek won't stop here in Philadelphia. They'll go to Philadelphia. They'll get the win. They'll win this game, go to 9-6, win their 6th consecutive game in a row. The Eagles, meanwhile, will lose this football game. Nick Foles will play solid in this game. He's going to turn it over once or twice, but he's going to be solid. They're going to have a chance in this game, but they're not going to win. They're not a good enough team, and that's what bad teams do. They find ways to lose games, and that's what the Eagles will do in this game. Redskins will get the win. They'll go to 9-6. Eagles will lose this game. They'll be 4-11 on the season. And this Eagles team, not a good football team. What more can I say? They're not a good team, and they'll find a way to lose. And Andy Reid will end his coaching career in Philadelphia next week in Week 17 against the Giants. But this will be his last home game, and hopefully the Philly fans will hopefully the Philly fans will show him the respect that he deserves, because he's been a great coach for the Eagles over the years, and even though he wasn't able to win the big one, he was still one of the best coaches in Philadelphia Eagles history, and so they need to give that man his just due on the way out. Looking at the next matchup, the Oakland Raiders are traveling to the Carolina Panthers, and really this is one of the worst games on the docket in Week 16. Not going to spend a lot of time on it. Oakland Raiders are a bad team. So are the Carolina Panthers. But they're a better bad team, if that makes any sense, than the Oakland Raiders. Panthers will beat this Raiders team. Let's just move on. New Orleans Saints traveling to Dallas to take on the Dallas Cowboys. This is a very intriguing matchup. Now, just about the Saints have been playing solid football of late. They got blown out by the Giants, but they made mistakes in that game. They turned it over. You're on the road. You can't do that. They went home the next week. They blanked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's family business, and what they were able to do and carrying out that family business was nothing short of remarkable. To beat a team in your division 41-0 doesn't happen often. That was a sheer display of outstanding offensive efficiency, and that's what you've come to expect from this Saints team. Now they go to Dallas against a struggling Dallas defense. I'm really not impressed with this Dallas Cowboys defense. Their offense is red hot right now, and it's led by Tony Romo and Des Bryant. They're really playing good football. They just got DeMarco Murray back. He's looking to bolster that running attack. The Cowboys are in a position that if they win out, they'll win the division. Even if they lose this game and win next week, they can still win the division. So I think the Cowboys are going to get it done against these Saints. I just think that the Saints right now are good enough offensively to beat this Cowboys team, but defensively I don't think they'll do enough to slow down Tony Romo, Dallas Cowboys attack and win this football game. I just don't see the Saints, who've been really bad on the defensive side of the football all season long, being able to stop a hot Tony Romo and Dallas Cowboys offense. I see the Cowboys getting it done, winning this football game, getting to 9-6 on the season, and having that win, having that game next week against the Redskins be for the NFC East division. Whether they win or lose this game, it'll still be for the division next week. But the Cowboys, if you're the Cowboys, you lose this game, you don't deserve the division next week. You don't deserve to even have a shot to play for the division if you lose this game. You need to win this game, go into that game next week against the Redskins with some momentum, and have that be for all the marbles because you earned it, not because you backed your way in. And even if you were to lose this week and win next week against the Redskins, I still don't like the way you got to the postseason, because 10 wins should be the minimum. You need to win this division with 10 wins. You can't win this division with 10 wins. You don't need to win it. And that's the way I feel about it. But I don't think the Saints will have enough defensively to slow this Cowboys team and get the win. Saints will drop to 6-9 on the season. Meanwhile, the Cowboys will go to 9-6 on the season. You look at the next matchup, the Tennessee Titans going to the Green Bay Packers. This is going to be an onslaught because the Packers are playing their best football of the season. They're getting healthier every single week. Aaron Rodgers is playing some top-notch football. He's looking like that MVP caliber quarterback that we saw a season ago. Aaron Rodgers is really playing good. This Packers team is starting to come along at the right time. And this Tennessee Titans team isn't very good, and you know how I feel about Jake Locker. I'm not going to sit here and go into a whole spiel about how I feel about Jake Locker as an NFL quarterback right now. Just know that the Tennessee Titans will go in to Green Bay and be slaughtered because the Packers are playing for something bigger than just winning a game. They've already locked up the NFC North division. They're playing for a chance at a bye in the first round of the playoffs. And it's right there dangling in front of them. They just got to win. And the Tennessee Titans are not a team that's equipped with enough firepower offensively and enough defense to stop this Green Bay Packers team or even just get in the way and slow them down. They're going to be ran over in this game. Now, I don't know how bad of a blowout it'll be, but it won't be close. It won't be a close football game. And if there's been one team in the league that's been blown out several times this season, it's been these Tennessee Titans. Look for it to happen again on Sunday against these Green Bay Packers. The Packers will go to 11-4 on the season. Meanwhile, these Tennessee Titans, who won last week in an ugly game against the Jets, will go to 5-10 on the season. So you look at the next matchup on the slate. The Minnesota Vikings are traveling to the Houston Texans. This should be a good football game. The Texans, they need it. They need to win. They need to continue to win because they want the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. They worked too hard and too long all season long to have it just blow up in their faces at the end of the season. They could go from being the number 1 seed to being the number 3 seed and having to play the first week of the playoffs. I mean, it's one thing to not be the number 1 seed and just go down to the number 2 and get a bye still. They could go from being the best team all season long in the AFC to being the 3rd best team and having to play on the first week of the playoffs and not having home field throughout in the AFC playoffs. This thing could go in a total different direction for these Texans if they don't win down the stretch. They need to take care of business against this Vikings team who hasn't been that good on the road all season long. Hard for me to see this Vikings team going into Houston and getting a win. Adrian Peterson has been absolutely dynamic and explosive all season long, looking to break Eric Dickerson's record of the most rushing yards in a single season. He's got 18-12 coming into this game. This Texans defense gave it up a week ago against Vic Ballard. I could see him getting 150 yards in this game. I could see him getting 78 yards in this game. You just don't know. I don't see the Vikings going on the road and beating Houston, however. I just can't see them doing it. It wouldn't surprise me if they did it, though. If Christian Ponder doesn't turn it over, they got a shot. Adrian Peterson is so dynamic, they'll have a shot. But if Christian Ponder feels like turning it over 2 or 3 times, going 8 for 19 for 68 yards, no touchdowns and an interception, they'll lose this game. But if he can be steady, don't turn it over, make plays when they're there to be made, the Vikings have a legit shot in this game, but I don't see them winning. Texans take this one. They go to 13-2 on the season. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings will drop to 8-7 on the season, and this will really put a damper on them making the postseason as they need these last 2 games to even have a shot at going to the postseason. Do the Minnesota Vikings. We look at the next game on the slate. The New England Patriots are taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is my sole survivor pick of the week. The Jacksonville Jaguars are a bad team. They haven't played good football over the last month. Chad Henne has really disappointed me. I thought he was going to get it the second time around. Evidently, he doesn't. And this Patriots team isn't a team you want to try and figure things out against. And so I don't really see them putting up a big fight in this game. I see the Patriots really taking it to this Jacksonville Jaguars team early and often, really beating them up, putting them out of their misery nice and early in this football game, and getting a runaway victory. Patriots are looking to try to get back into the conversation of getting a first-round bye, and this is the first step in doing so. Winning this game against Jacksonville, winning next week, and having some things happen in their favor, they can get a first-round bye, and that's what they're looking to do. And so they're going to win, and they're going to win big in this game against Jacksonville, take their record to 11-4 on the season. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars will be 2-13 when this is all said and done. Okay, so this next game up on the slate is huge for the Indianapolis Colts. Huge in the sense that they need to win this game to ensure that they go to the postseason in the 2012 season. They've worked hard this season. They've won a lot of games this season. And you don't need it to come down to the final week of the season to determine if you're going to the postseason or not. You don't need to have that be something that you need to worry about. Get it out of the way against a bad team on the road, solidify your spot in the postseason, and move on. And that's what the Colts look to do as they travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. It's really simple. There's really not a huge storyline to this game. There's only one thing to be said about this game. Indianapolis, with a win, will clinch a playoff berth. You've played good football all season long, had a lot of adversity that you've overcome, won 9 games to this point, something that a lot of people, including myself, didn't see you doing. You've had a soft schedule, and you've taken care of business, and this is the last game of that soft schedule. So why not do what you've done all season, which is stockpile wins against bad teams? Continue to do that so you can go to the postseason. You've earned the right to do so. So here's your chance. You're not on the road against a bad or an okay or a subpar team. You're against a horrendous Kansas City Chiefs football team. They stink, one of the worst teams in the league. You need to put them out of their misery. Get your 10th win of the season. Ensure yourself of a playoff berth. You've worked hard this season. You've earned the right to go to the postseason. And so I see the Colts going to Kansas City, taking care of business, getting their 10th win of the season, being 10-5, notching that 5th seed in the AFC playoffs as they get a win against this Kansas City Chiefs team who will drop to 2-13 on the season. I just see the Colts doing what it takes to win. It won't be a pretty game because, again, you don't know what Kansas City Chiefs team is going to show up. Will the team that's been slaughtered 9 times this season show up and this be a rout? Or will the team that held the Broncos to 17 points, that beat the Carolina Panthers after that Jovan Belcher tragedy, will that team show up? You don't know which one is going to show up. But it doesn't matter. Whichever one shows up won't be good enough to beat this Colts team. I can assure you of that because the Colts know what's riding on this game. And they don't want to have to go next week at home against Houston and have to win that game to make sure they go to the postseason. Why put that undue strain and pressure on yourself when you can get it done this week, seal it up, put a nice bow on it, and have yourself a Merry Christmas? That's what they're going to do in this game. Get to 10-5, secure their spot in the postseason, and move on. The Buffalo Bills are playing against the Dolphins in some family business, the AFC East variety of family business. Nothing's riding on this game, just two teams trying to get a win. I see the Dolphins at home getting the best of the Bills. The Dolphins, to me, are the better team in this game anyhow. I love the way Ryan Tannehill has played all season long. He's been up and down. He's been sporadic, but he's better than anything the Bills have to offer at the quarterback position. And so the Dolphins are in a better position to win this game than the Bills are. And so the Dolphins are at home. They have the better quarterback. They have a better situation coaching-wise than the Buffalo Bills, and they'll get the win at home. They'll go to 7-8 on the season with the Miami Dolphins. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills will drop to 5-10 on the season. Simple as that. Next up on the docket, the Cleveland Browns are traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. This is another massacre, another game that won't be close. The Denver Broncos have their eyes set on not only getting a first-round bye because they're right now currently second in the AFC, they have their eyes on home field throughout. If the Houston Texans are to slip up against Minnesota, and that can happen, I don't think it will happen, but it's a very good possibility that that could happen, and then go next week to Indianapolis, which will be a probably emotionally charged atmosphere because Chuck Pagano will be on the sidelines, and lose there, this Denver Broncos team can win their final 2. They will be the number 1 seed in the AFC. And they're going to win their last 2 games. They're going to kill this Cleveland Browns team. They're going to remain home next week and absolutely slaughter the Kansas City Chiefs and send them off onto their offseason. And they're going to win 11 straight to end the season are the Denver Broncos. And so you have to know that the Houston Texans have the pressure on them because the Broncos are going to take care of business. They're going to beat this Cleveland Browns team who's probably maxed out their win total for the season. They've won 5 games this year, which is 3 or 2 more than I thought they had in them all season long. And now they've reached 5. They don't have any more wins in them. It was a good season by them. Something to build on for the future, but they're done for the season. And they're not going to win this game. It won't be close. Denver will take care of business, win this one, going away, get their 12th win of the season, will the Denver Broncos, taking them to 12-3 on the season, and having a chance to win their 13th game next week. They'll win this game, win it easy. The Browns will drop to 5-10 on the season with this loss. You look at the next game on the slate, Chicago Bears traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Man, is this Bears team struggling. And I told you, I foreshadowed this happening because they don't score enough points offensively. And when you don't score points, you let teams hang in ball games and possibly beat you. Even teams that shouldn't beat you can beat you when you don't score points. And this Chicago Bears offense doesn't score points. And so they have a shot to lose this game against Arizona, but the Cardinals are so bad. When your quarterback situation is so abysmal, like the Arizona Cardinals is, hard to see them winning a game like this. I just don't see them doing enough to beat the Bears, and they're probably going to turn it over on the Arizona Cardinals several times in this game, giving the Bears points. And the one thing that the Bears are good at is scoring points defensively. And I assure you, the Arizona Cardinals will give them at least 1, if not 2 or 3 opportunities to score points defensively in this game. The Bears will take advantage, and they'll win the game. Now, again, this Bears team doesn't score points. Watch what I tell you. In this game against an Arizona Cardinals team that isn't good but has a solid defense, the Bears offense will only account for 14 points in this game. Now, I told you that the Cardinals will give them opportunities to score points defensively, and they probably will, at least 1 touchdown, and that'll account for more than enough points to beat the Arizona Cardinals, who don't like scoring points of their own themselves. Bears will win this game. They'll be 9-6 after this matchup. Have a shot. It'll be faint, but have a shot to make the postseason with another win next week on the road against the Lions. Meanwhile, this Arizona Cardinals team, this season can't be over fast enough for this team. They need a quarterback, and they need a quarterback right now. And so the offseason will be focused on getting a quarterback. That's their sole purpose for this Arizona Cardinals franchise. Get a quarterback, a franchise QB now. And so they'll lose this game. They'll go to 5-10 on the season, and they can't wait for this season to just be over in the misery in Arizona. You look at the next game up on the slate, the San Diego Chargers taking on the New York Jets. This is an ugly game. I can't stand either one of these teams because both of these teams are huge underachievers, teams that you can't trust to do anything. They stumble over themselves week after week after week. One coach you can't get to shut up, the other doesn't say enough. One coach is over emotional, the other one doesn't show enough emotion. And both of these teams, when it's all said and done with their coaches, are losers. And that's what you're going to get out of this game, a dud. But the Chargers are probably going to win this game. They're probably going to win this game because I don't trust the Jets. I don't trust Greg McElroy. I don't trust the Chargers, and I don't trust Phil Rivers. But guess what? I don't trust a rookie. I cannot trust a rookie over Phillip Rivers. Simple as that. The Jets stink. So do the Chargers. But I trust Phillip Rivers more than I trust Greg McElroy. There you have it. Chargers will find a way to win this game. It'll be ugly, one that I really won't pay a lot of attention to. I'll just keep it moving because I don't like either one of these teams. But the Jets will find a way to lose this game. And they deserve to. They're losers. That's what they deserve. So you look at the final game on the slate in Week 16. And it's a doozy. Sunday Night Football, NFC West matchup of two Titans squaring off head-to-head. You got the Seattle Seahawks hosting the San Francisco 49ers in what should be a heavyweight prize fight. Now, the only question is, will this fight last 12 rounds or will it only last 3? Either way, it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a hard-hitting affair between two teams that frankly don't like each other. And this is the way it should be. It's family business. You're not supposed to like your family members in this instance because your family members want you to suffer. And so if this game is anywhere close to if this game has anywhere close to the intensity that it had 2 months ago, back when this game was played in San Francisco, then this is going to be a whale of a football game. I just see the Seahawks winning this game just because they're at home. They haven't lost all season at home, and they're playing some really good football right now. I mean, it's hard to go into Seattle and win. Of any stadium in the NFL, the one place I wouldn't want to send my team is to Seattle because it's always wet, it's always rainy, it's always loud. It's Seattle. You go there, and it's just a different aura about Seattle. You feel like the crowd's right here on you because it's so loud. It's always wet. It's like it's always raining in Seattle. It's never dry. It's always raining. It's always a slight mist coming down. And that's Seattle Seahawks football. They're going to win this game against the 49ers. No worries if you're a 49ers fan, no matter how the outcome of this game, whether it's close, whether it's a blowout. I don't think it'll be a blowout because these are two good football teams. But no matter what the outcome is, all the 49ers have to do, and yeah, if you're the 49ers, you want to send a statement to these Seahawks. I can come into Seattle and beat you. I'm not afraid of you, and I'm the NFC West champions for a reason because they're going to win this division, are the San Francisco 49ers, whether they lock it up in this game or lock it up in Week 17 against the Cardinals at home. They're going to win this division. And you want to send a statement to these Seahawks. I'm the division champ for a reason. I can beat you at my house or I can beat you at your house. However you want it, I can give it to you. But I don't see it happening. I see the Seahawks protecting home for the 7th time out of 7 tries this season, getting a win and beating this team in the San Francisco 49ers and really continuing their hot streak of late in this season of playing some really good football. I see this being a close game, but I see the Seahawks ultimately getting the win and really thrusting themselves into the postseason on a heck of a hot streak because they'll win this game, lock up a playoff berth in the NFC, and then they'll win next week against St. Louis at home, be a perfect 8-0 at home, and be gliding into the postseason as a team that really you don't want to face if you're going into the postseason. And really, you don't want to go to Seattle. Seattle on the road is a different team. They can be had on the road. At home, they're a different team. On the road is where their problems lie. And so if you can get this team on the road, which they'll be on the road, will these Seattle Seahawks, you got a shot. But if they somehow find a way to get a home game in the postseason, and the only way that would occur is if the 6th seed goes on a torrid winning streak in the postseason, and these two teams, 5th and 6th seed, were to match up in the championship game, they would get a home playoff game. You could pencil the Seahawks in as the participant in the Super Bowl for the NFC because they're that good at home. But that's not going to happen because they're not going to win that many games in the postseason. I just don't see it happen. But that's for another day. That's for another topic. The Seahawks are going to win this game. They're going to go to 10-5 on the season. The 49ers are going to lose this game. They're going to be 10-4-1 on the season. And just like that, they'll be the 3rd seed in the NFC instead of the 2nd seed. And now they're fighting the Green Bay Packers tooth and nail for the 2nd seed in the NFC because they want that bye. They want it bad, and I don't know if they'll be able to get it because the Packers are playing such good football. So there you have it. That's a touchdown. Go ahead and throw it up. Want to tack on this quick extra point. There's not really much to say here. I mean, this extra point is really simple. You let the football do the talking for you. I don't really need to say much because this is it. We're coming down the stretch now. There's not much more teams can say. There's not much more that I have to say because now the football will speak for itself. You're the Giants. You want to go to the postseason? Win. It's really simple. Win. You're the Ravens. You want to lock up that division, assure yourself of a playoff berth, and being the AFC North champions? Win. It's simple. Win. You're the Redskins. You're the Cowboys. You want to win this division? Win. It's simple. Win. Win football games. Cincinnati. You want to go to the postseason for the 2nd consecutive year? You want to do something that a lot of people, including myself, don't think you can do? Go to Pittsburgh and win and clinch a playoff berth? Win. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Win. Steelers, you want to keep your postseason hopes alive? Your back's against the wall. It can't get any closer to the wall. Your back is against the wall. You want to go to the postseason? You want to end the Steelers jinx that says you don't make the postseason every 3 seasons? Win. It's really simple now. The time for talk is over. Football will speak for itself now. And teams are up against it. You're Minnesota? You want to go to the postseason? No one thinks you can beat Houston. No one thinks you can beat Green Bay next week. You can only play one game at a time, and the game in front of you is Houston on the road. Haven't been a great road team all season. You want to go to the postseason? You got to win your last 2. You can't win one and lose the other and think you're going to go. You got to win both. Win. Win. It's simple. Win. And that's what teams are facing this week. Chicago, you can't score points. But you got a lifeless Arizona Cardinals team in front of you. You can't beat them. You don't need to go anywhere. So win. It's really simple. I don't need to say much. These teams don't need to say much more now. The football on the field that's being played will speak for itself. And so that's the way I feel. That's the way you should feel. And that's why this week, Week 16 in the National Football League is going to be beautiful because there's going to be a lot of good football being played because this is it for teams. It's put up or shut up time. And if you don't put up on Saturday or Sunday, then guess what? Pack your bags, shut up, time for you to go home. It's the off season for you. And that's what it's all about down the stretch. And that's why I love it. Because the time for talk is over. There's no more time for talking. That time has passed. It's gone. Now you got to play on the field. You got to strap it up, play your best football, or you got to go home. And that's the way it should be. That's why I don't need my postseason to be expanded. Because this is it. This is what it's about. You don't do enough work in the regular season to earn a postseason spot, to be one of the 6 best teams in your conference. You don't need to go anywhere. Be one of the 6 best, and you'll be assured of a playoff spot and a chance to hoist that Lombardi trophy. But if you don't do enough, you don't need to go anywhere. And that's the way I feel. That's the way you should feel. And as I always say, I thank you for joining me on this program. Didn't have a lot of time. Got it done quickly. Hopefully, I'll be able to get some more programs coming your way. But it's been a lot going on in the last week and a half for me. And so I doubt I'll be able to get anything else to you until Monday, where I come back and talk about, the weekend that was and get into the slate skating and all of that. And hopefully your regularly scheduled programming can commence after the weekend is over with, hopefully everything in my life will be lined up the way it's supposed to be. Christmas will occur and everything can get back to normal. But have a happy holidays. If I don't see you until after Christmas, you should see this face again before Christmas time. But if you don't, have a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas to you and every member of your family. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy this time. And as I always tell you, enjoy the football. Have a good one. Can't wait to see you again. Want to see you back here same time, same place. And as always, have a good one. And I truly do mean that from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy your holiday season.